Sometimes you explore too hard in a video game and end up somewhere you weren't supposed to. This is why today we're diving into the 10 most mysterious and creepy discoveries that were ever found out of bounds in video games. GoreBox. Thanks to the Theinfamousscoundrel for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. GoreBox is a sandbox game that really allows players to express their creativity, killing and inflicting harm on these NPCs with whatever weapons and vehicles they desire. And with multiplayer modes, your pals can join in the fun, as you psychotically and horrifically murder each other in as many ways as possible. The game has been featured on the channel before for its anti-piracy screen from hell, as this horrifying face in the message "What are you doing?" pops up as soon as the game detects the players made modifications to the game. However, the Theinfamousscoundrel made a discovery out of bounds of GoreBox that somehow manages to make the game even creepier, as when Scoundrel clipped under the map and fell into a void, they spawned into an area in the middle of a foggy lake, with eerie music and sound effects. Swimming to this island, they reached a small house they couldn't get inside. However, by interacting with the house, they earned an achievement, which says in the description, maybe it can be unlocked somehow. Well, I'm not trying to find out. Knowing GoreBox, I'm good with just staying out here. Trepang 2. Thanks to Eventlessgaming for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Trepang 2 is a first-person shooter released in 2023, which I covered before it even came out, as players who clipped out of bounds in the demo found a stairwell that led them to a mysterious figure, which when approached sent them to a version of the backrooms that seemingly went on forever. The game is inspired by the Fear series, as players take on the role of an escaped test subject number 106 from a military facility run by the evil corporation Horizon. And now 106 is guided by the mysterious Task Force 27 to uncover all of Horizon's secrets and try to shut them down for good. However, players made another discovery in the game that shows there's even more creepy secrets out of bounds than previously thought, as if you clip out of bounds near the Task Force 27 base, you can find the hanging bodies of Task Force soldiers in the trees. It's not clear why these bodies are hanging here. Even stranger, some online have reported getting out of bounds of the area and finding way more hanging bodies, seen here, but I was completely unable to reproduce this. Also, you can shoot them down too, so there is that. Hotdogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. Thanks to Grass-Based Goose for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. Hotdogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades is a VR game released in early access on Steam in 2016, where the title pretty accurately captures the game, as players fire hundreds of guns and explosives in an open sandbox against an army of combative hot dogs. However, Grass-Based Goose made a discovery in the game that's a little stranger than endlessly exploding wieners, as in the game's Return of the Rot Wieners Halloween mode, there was a mysterious ladder out of bounds they could see but couldn't reach in the safe loading area. However, by getting as close to the wall as possible with the game's teleport mode and moving their head through the wall with the VR, they found a series of scattered ladders they could climb. And after a couple of tricky maneuvers, Goose managed to get to the highest point, where they found a canister that says Jerry the Lemon. Who? Shaking the canister, we hear somebody screaming. What? Next to Jerry is a triangle with a lemon inside, which Grass-Based Goose believes could be a reference to the pyramid that's a symbol of the Illuminati. The Lemon Illuminati, apparently. Which makes sense, because if the Illuminati ever made a game, it would most likely be about taking down infantry of humanoid sausages. Looking at the other titles on the way from the game's developer Rust Limited isn't much help, as their other games are a typing simulator and Dunderbeck, where players start their own gourmet sausage brand while at the same time fighting goblins on the side. Unfortunately, I'm at a loss here, as I can't seem to squeeze any meaning out of this one. Sudeki. Thanks to Ghaith for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Sudeki is an RPG released in 2004 as an exclusive for the original Xbox, and 1 year later on PC only in Europe. Originally developed for Dreamcast, then PlayStation 2, Sudeki was snagged by Microsoft in an attempt to associate more JRPG-style games with Xbox, which still no one does to this day. Replaying the mostly forgotten title, Ghaith made an interesting discovery when visiting this random location in the game known as Jim's Lighthouse. One corner of the lighthouse is normally inaccessible, with the main character refusing to disrespect the boundary established by this rope, despite the fact that there's no one around who cares. However, by using the cheat engine hacking tool, Ghaith was able to change their position to the ceiling so they could fall to the other side of the barrier to access the area that they were never supposed to. To Ghaith's surprise, they found they could interact with this journal on the table and found a strange message which said, "And to this day, the locals avoid Smuggler's Cove due to its tragic history." What happened at Smuggler's Cove? No one seems to know what Smuggler's Cove is supposed to be, or what tragic history was supposed to have occurred there, as no area with that name exists in the game. The only explanation seems to be that a lot of changes to the game were made after the game was designated as a console exclusive for Xbox, so if this one ends up never being solved, we can probably pretty safely say that's Microsoft's fault. The Elder Scrolls Online. Thanks to Snarf for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Elder Scrolls Online is an MMO spin-off of the popular series, released in 2014. In the world of Tamriel, there remains a mystery that still has not been solved in the decade the game has been out. As in 2019, in the Elsewhere area of the game, Snarf managed to get out of bounds and they stumbled upon something they maybe weren't supposed to ever see. By jumping on this exact rock in the environment, they could easily climb outside the intended play area. In climbing this hill in the distance, they encountered the somewhat mad NPC character Cadwell, and found they were able to say to Cadwell they didn't expect to find him here, who had this to say in return.
I really find myself where I expect to be either. One of the great mysteries of life, I dare say.
Wait, does he know that he's out of bounds?
My portals usually take me where I need to be, whether I realize it or not.
Was this meant to be found? Evidently, Cadwell's portal has failed, and he doesn't appear to have any idea how he got here. Snarf had the option to ask him what he's been up to, and Cadwell gives some vague answers and mentions some dragons he dispatched, then gives us some updates about a house he's supposed to be building and invites us to visit. It's believed the dialogue Cadwell gave Snarf here was unique to this out-of-bounds spot, seemingly being dialogue only intended to be found by players curious enough to find him. Unfortunately, though, going back to Cadwell out of bounds again has been seemingly impossible task, as when players have attempted to get out of bounds where Snarf stalled Cadwell, they're met with an invisible wall, making a mystery how Cadwell managed to get out there, and if he was ever meant to be found. And also, are we still invited to the house party? Dodgeball Academia. Thanks to Impulse URL6922 for submitting this discovery through Oddheader.com. Dodgeball Academia is an RPG released in 2021 where the main character Otto attends a world-class school of dodgeball players and must train to become a dodgeball champion. Impulse Jar was in the library area of the game when they noticed a balcony above them that couldn't normally be accessed. By jumping on the stack of books and repeatedly jumping towards the wall for an extended period of time, they were eventually able to clip into and get on top of the balcony, where they found a book out of bounds they could actually interact with, which said, "You have no life. Shigehiro Minamoto. Thanks. This only took me like an hour to recreate." This discovery appears to be a reference to an urban legend regarding a legitimate out-of-bounds mystery in Super Mario Sunshine, known as the Nuki Bay Book Mystery, as at one point in Super Mario Sunshine, Mario dives headfirst into a bottle and swims around to retrieve some red coins. With no clear or logical explanation, there's somehow a stone structure that's been constructed at the bottom of this bottle. More inexplicably, there's also a hidden door in the structure, which is very easy to miss considering Mario's oxygen is limited. Most confusingly, if the player glitches the camera through the door, they can see a secret book just out of reach on the other side. The purpose of this book has been highly contested across the internet and Mario fandom since it was first discovered when the game was released back in 2002. Several sites claim there was a change from the Japanese version to the international releases, where you would have originally retrieved the book, but this is absolute bull. Others believe it to be an Easter egg of some sort, or even being tied to a quote Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto supposedly gave a Nintendo Power, where he suggested an empty space could actually be a door to another world. However, from my research, this appears to be a distorted version of this quote he gave in Rolling Stone in 1992, which doesn't mention an empty space, but does talk about a doorway to another world. Curiously, the book is not a separate object, but is actually rendered into the geometry of the environment, along with the door as well, which to some suggests the book was never intended to be collected at all, but intentionally made to sit behind this door for some reason. The last theory, which Dodgeball Academia directly references, is that the book actually has Japanese text on it, which when translated is a message that creator Shigeru Miyamoto personally signed that says, "You have no life." Though as hilarious as that would be, we can see with a free cam that the book has nothing of the sort written on it, while the Nuki Bay book remains a mystery to this day. We can at least thank Dodgeball Academia for finally bringing the meme to life as an out-of-bounds troll in their own game nearly 20 years later. Cool to see, but still stings a bit. Babbdi. Thanks to everyone for submitting this mystery on the Oddheader Discord. Babbdi is a free first-person exploration game released on Steam in 2022 from French brothers Sirius and Leonard Lemaitre. It's a cozy and relaxing game. The shadowy, dystopian-looking landscapes and unsettling NPCs are your thing. The only objective players have is to find a mysterious train and figure out how to leave the city, which all of these cursed NPCs try to talk you out of with their ambiguous dialogue. However, players made a discovery in the game that shows this may not be the only way out of Babbdi, as if you manage to fly far away away from the city and get over the wall surrounding Babbdi and onto the water. Far off into the distance, you can find a mysterious boat. Not much is on the boat, except for what appears to be an art gallery full of strange images, showing a mysterious city, cars in the middle of a desert, snow-covered mountains, and whoever the hell these guys are supposed to be. The boat doesn't appear to have any clear meaning or significance, though given this game, that might be the point. The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, Chapter 2, Retribution. Thanks to Toptunic for submitting this discovery on the Oddheader Discord. Retribution released at the end of 2022 as a sequel to the VR game based on the popular zombie franchise. The game is action-packed full of zombies to kill with a variety of weapons, and also was packed full of game-breaking bugs in its initial release. This perhaps made the survival horror scarier than it was ever meant to be, as Toptunic made a creepy discovery when they fell out of bounds while playing the game. During the sewer levels of the game, Toptunic somehow found themselves underneath the map. Here they found a creepy object floating in the dirty sewer water, which looks like some sort of mask made up of two faces sewn together. Honestly, crawling around the sewers, I was expecting something pretty disturbing. Just wasn't expecting this. Black Mesa. Thanks to GM Fun for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. Black Mesa, released in 2020 as a remaster of Half-Life using Valve's Source engine. I recently talked about the game's Pizza ARG, which began with pizza boxes out of bounds in various locations of the game, along with the message "the pizza is a lie." This led to a series of coded messages and hidden clues in the game, all pointing at a mysterious Dr. Horn, whose whereabouts remain unknown, but is still sending players messages to this day. However, GM Fun managed to find using the debug-free camera that something lies out of bounds darker than an overbaked pizza on the background maps used for the game's menu screens. By using cheats to break out of bounds of background 16, they managed to find this pile of dead bodies that can't normally be seen, with what appears to be a set of footprints leaving the scene. Above the pile of corpses is a message: they eat, they drink, and in communion sweet, quaff immortality, enjoy. This strange message is actually a line from the book Paradise Lost by John Milton, but other than that, nothing else is known about what it means or why it's there. Investigating it further, it turns out there's an obelisk directly next to the bodies that says Arcadian that no one knows the meaning of, and apparently there's another set of bodies just like this, also out of bounds of background 12, this time with the message "long is the way and hard, that out of hell leads up to light." Some believe the discoveries could be tied to the Pizza ARG, although there doesn't appear to be any obvious connection, except the fact that some think the bodies are aligned in the shape of a pizza slice. This is making me hungry. The only other clue seems to be that each of the bodies also all have name tags, all of which are unclear except maybe one: Murfin, Young, Olsen, Nelson, and Horn. Horn being the researcher we're supposed to be searching for in the ARG. Does that mean we won the ARG? Doesn't feel like it. One thing's for sure, I'm ready to order some pizza. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Thanks to Luke the Small One for submitting this mystery through Oddheader.com. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is the 2023 PlayStation 5 exclusive that sold over 11 million copies, making it the best-selling title on the console. Despite selling so many copies, Luke the Small One managed to find something no one seems to have ever found before. As Luke was swinging around underneath the game world using a known glitch, when they flew under Central Park and noticed something weird hovering directly under where a circular pier normally was. Getting close enough to the pier, Luke activated the game's photo mode and got close enough to see its strangely intriguing golden object on a stone base with golden orbs floating around it. I want it. The object, which can't normally be seen in bounds, is directly underneath a concrete post that you can jump on. It almost seems as though the object could maybe lift into place where the post is. There's also a number of other posts on the pier you could hop across, so it could possibly be a puzzle that players are supposed to solve by jumping across the different posts in a certain sequence to unlock an Easter egg. After all, the mystery structure looks pretty special, almost like a hidden treasure or some sort of sacred artifact that could change the course of the entire game and what could possibly be the greatest Easter egg of all time. Or maybe it was just originally part of the park and the developers decided to shove it underground. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you know of any other out-of-bounds discoveries that you'd like to see me cover, submit through Oddheader.com, come join the Discord, or even send me a shout through Twitter or Reddit. And thanks again to Slippy Slides for helping get the footage in this video. Feel free to subscribe to him down below as well. Shout out to Angel the Fox, Ash Photography, Bitwith27, Black EV50, Chad Biscuits, Eddie Talkspin the Bleach Primid, Flex, Kieran Bolton, The Meatly, Phoenix157, Rackman22, Riley S, Robert Eisenman, Rolkot Miflua, Select, Starcore 2, and Terran Stock for their Patreon support. Stay tuned.